Today on the show, we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to take a look at the first quarter results for 2020. Spoiler alert, nobody won. Hey guys, welcome to another episode. I'm that car guy, Tim, and today we're going to take a look at new car sales in Canada for the first quarter of 2020. Now we're going to compare that to this time last year. Obviously, 2020 not really starting out good in Canada. First, everything was hit with the rail blockades, and now we have this COVID-19 that's really wreaking havoc on the economy. So everything is down. There weren't any winners in the first quarter. And as far as things look right now, it doesn't look like there's going to be many winners anytime soon. Let's dive into the numbers. Let's start out with Fiat Chrysler Automobiles Canada. They were down 18.8% compared to this quarter last year. The biggest loser arguably was Chrysler. They dropped in half. Yeah, 55% less sales than this time last year. Last year they sold 1,944 units. This quarter they didn't even break 1,000. Only 874 units were out the door. Next in line was Fiat. Now obviously Fiat isn't that big of a brand here in North America. In Canada at least, they didn't even break 100 both this time last year and this year. Last year they sold 85 vehicles, and this quarter they only sold 64. Looking elsewhere in the brand, the staple arguably of the brand, Jeep, they are down 35% compared to this time last year. Last year they sold 17,279 units. That's down over 6,000 units. They only rolled out 11,250 this quarter. Moving on to Ford Motor Company Canada, not too bad, 13.8% down from this time last year. Quarter one of 2019, they sold 62,319 vehicles. This quarter, however, they only managed 53,729. Lincoln really pulled the brand down. They're down 18.7%. They only managed to roll out just over 1,400 vehicles compared to over 1,700 last year. Turning our attention to GM Canada, they were down 12.8%. They sold about 7,059 units less than they did in the first quarter of 2019. Now, the brand that pulled GM down the most, unsurprisingly, is Cadillac. 25% less units rolling out onto the streets wore the badge of Cadillac compared to this quarter last year. To put that into a few numbers for you, 2,702 in the first quarter of 2019 and just 2,030 in the first quarter of 2020. Looking to the big part of the pie for GM, Chevrolet down 17.3%. First quarter of 2020, they're down over 5,000 units. They only rolled out 24,787 units. GMC, the truck-focused version of Chevrolet, down only 3.9%. First quarter of 2020, they only sold 18,267. Going over to the imports now, Honda Canada had a dismal quarter compared to last year. They were down 31.2%. Only 26,541 Hondas rolled out of the dealerships this quarter compared to 2019, where 38,602 rolled off dealership lots. Turning over to the Hyundai Kia partnership now, just over 15% fewer vehicles rolled out of Hyundai and Kia dealerships. Breaking it down, the Genesis sub-brand of Hyundai really dragged the brand down. Almost 18% fewer Genesis branded vehicles rolled off dealership lots. They only sold 281 in the first quarter of 2019. 2020, that number dropped to just 231. Comparing the Hyundai and Kia brands themselves, 24,263 Hyundais rolled out lots last year in the first quarter. This year in the first quarter, that number was down to just 20,630. Kia sold 14,860 in the first quarter of 2019. First quarter of 2020, obviously down by about 2,000 units. Turning our attention to Mazda now, they were down 18.7%. They only sold just over 11,000 units. Looking at the Nissan and Mitsubishi alliance, arguably Infiniti dragging the brand down. 50% fewer Infinitis were on the road off dealership lots compared to this time last year. Overall, the three brands together were down 35.3%. Nissan itself, they were down 36.4%. 10,000 fewer new Nissans were on the road compared to the first quarter of 2019, whereas Mitsubishi, the smaller part of the Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance, they were down 24.5%. Heading over to the world-famous rally brand Subaru, they were down 12.7% compared to this time last year. Only 9,595 managed to make it out onto the road. Looking at Toyota, they're keeping things nice and neat for us. 18% flat, down from the first quarter of 2019, comparing it to the first quarter of 2020. Looking a little bit further into those numbers, in the first quarter of 2019, 48,065 Toyotas and Lexus vehicles rolled onto public roads here in Canada. Looking into the first quarter of 2020, however, that's down to 39,423. And heading over to Volkswagen, now it's easy to say that Volkswagen has a lot of electric excitement coming with the new e-bus, but sales were still down 20.4% from 13,906 to just 11,064 in the first quarter of 2020. Now, looking at Canada as a whole, obviously a lot of economic challenges facing the country right now, and that is reflected in people's willingness to purchase new vehicles right now. That's down 19.6%. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little look into first quarter sales here in Canada. Obviously down 19.6%. Second quarter, it'll be interesting to see just how big of an impact COVID-19 is going to have on the automotive sector. Obviously, the big three are shut down, making medical equipment, kind of like in World War II, where they shut down to make bombs and planes and all that sort of stuff for World War II. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Make sure you click that subscribe button, leave a like, and don't forget, comment down below. Tell me what you think is going to happen in the Canadian automotive industry with COVID-19 in the second quarter. I'll be interested to see your thoughts, and whoever's closest, there's going to be a prize for you when the second quarter results come out. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Have fun, get her done.